Live from London, England, it's theCUBE. Covering Discover 2016 London. Brought to you by Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Now, here's your hosts, Dave Vellante and Paul Gillin.
Okay, we're back. CUBE alum Patrick Osborne is here. He's the Senior Director of Product Management and Marketing at Hewlett Packard Enterprise Storage, and Doug Hazelman, who's the Vice President of Product Strategy at Veeam. Gentlemen, good to see you. Welcome to theCUBE.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, I've been watching Veeam for years now. You know, you go to these V-Mugs, and there's Veeam, and you talk to the customers, and what are you doing for Packa? Veeam, Veeam, Veeam. And you guys have just done a phenomenal job of just growing your company, you know, building the brand, and so congratulations on that. But how's it going at Discover?
It's going great. You know, we've been a long-time partner with HPE, definitely on, especially on the storage side, with integration with, 3PAR and Store Virtual and Store Once. I've been working with HPE for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now, and it's been a great partnership. And then, be able to come here and showcase, what we've got. And then we also made a bit of an announcement today too, so that's all good.
All right, we'll unpack that a little bit. But so Patrick, let me come to you and just set the table for us. What are the big trends you're seeing? Give us the high level perspective and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, so one of the things that we made some announcements this week in the storage area. We are seeing this adoption of flash is through the roof, non-linear growth. More than 50% of the systems that we ship from a 3PAR perspective are all flash, and that's growing. What we see is that is, it's good and bad, right? It's good for customers that obviously they're seeing a lot of savings from flash, certainly performance. What it's doing though is definitely introducing a lot more risk into their infrastructure. If you take a look at flash from a couple waves, right? People are starting to introduce a little bit of flash for performance. Definitely started to get the economics in check in wave 2. It's definitely more accessible for customers, especially in the mid-sized enterprise, to buy and deploy all flash. And then this sort of third wave, which is, now it's your standard. Now you need all the data services that go around it. What we've seen is that has basically increased your risk portfolio from an application density, right? So you can run a lot more stuff effectively on a terabyte of flash than you were able to in the past. So now you've got more volumes, more hosts, more hypervisors, therefore more applications running on that single piece of infrastructure. So what we've been talking about is the highly resilient all-flash data center, right? And it's technologies like 3PAR and all the data services that come with it, Store Once, and then partnerships with our partners like Veeam that's going to provide that whole solution around availability, really at the end of the day. So flash is great. I think a lot of people have used it for accelerating applications, and it's definitely an economics. It's great economically for customers, but nobody loves data protection, right? Nobody likes to pay for it at the end of the day. But so now what we're seeing is that people are expecting that to be an endemic part of the infrastructure, and partnering with folks like Veeam has helped us do that.
Are you surprised? Are customers surprised when you tell them this, or when you go into customers who are adopting flash and tell them that they're taking a greater risk?
I think at the end of the day, people are always surprised when you point out their risk profile. So we have a number of tools and processes we go through to kind of show people what their risk profile is. At the end of the day, you're putting a lot of applications in one basket, right? Yeah. And you guys see that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's basically, kind of what it is. It's, and we saw it with virtualization too, right? Now all of a sudden you've got a lot more stuff running on a single piece of hardware. Well, what if that hardware fails, right? So, you saw the rise of things, like backup and disaster recovery focused on virtualization because it was a different risk profile than running everything on physical servers. And same thing with flash. So.
Well, you've got less copies too, right? You're sharing a single copy with many more constituents now than you ever had in the past. So, good thing is copy creep maybe gets addressed, but sometimes it's good to have a copy around.
Yeah.
In case there's a failure.
and that's what customers, they want to see at the end of the day. It's something that I don't want to go to 4 or 5 different tool sets to manage all those copies, right? I want to have an integrated experience, right? We talked about this before in terms of customers want to buy a vertically oriented integrated system, right? That's going to run a set of applications for them. So they don't want to be messing around with snapshots and replication in another tool, backup in another tool. dev, test, and copy in yet another framework or UI, being able to throw that into your storage layer to be able to do application consistent snaps, snap and replicate, offload for backup, offload for test and dev, and making copies is definitely something that people are expecting now, and we're providing it in our infrastructure.
Yep. So how'd this partnership come about? I mean, it's interesting actually, the data protector division group, product line, whatever, is going to Micro Focus. But you guys have been partners in the field for a long time.
Yeah.
Does that move, that spin merge with Micro Focus, open up new partnership opportunities? Is this an example? In the past, you might not have been aggressive about having a partner like Veeam on theCUBE. Is that just coincidence, or is that a change because of that spin merge?
We've been working together for quite some time now. So for us, we've always had a very open ISV ecosystem in storage, right? So my personal belief is that you lower the barrier of entry and you lower the barrier of exit, right? So if you're open and you have the best product offerings out there, people will choose either best of breed or a fully integrated stack. So for me, we've been partnering with all sorts of people, and obviously we work very closely with HPE Data Protector and VM Explorer, and we have solutions with that team. Frankly, what we're seeing right now is a very high intersection rate of customers, right? So people who are Veeam customers that are moving up into the mid-range and the enterprise that are using HPE servers, networking, and storage. You guys see that all the time.
Yeah. That's kind of where we're moving. But the other thing was, it was several years ago when it was actually the Store Once team, that came to us and said, look, we'd like to make sure that we work with you guys because we see your success. When we want to be part of that as part of that open ecosystem. So, and that that obviously moved towards other things, and now we have primary array support for 3PAR and Store Virtual. They were the first array supported on our platform. So it's just, like I said, it's been a great partnership.
And you guys initiated that integration, is that right? Or
on the primary storage we did. It was joint. We said, hey, we want to work with snapshots, and
they said, great, here's how you do it.
Yeah, and and HPE was great to work with.
I guess my point, Doug, is that you guys were small, but you're gaining share very rapidly. Yeah. Now you've hit critical mass, and it's like, boom, on the radar. Because you've got others as well at that intersection. I'm sure Symantec, pops up on your radar. I don't know.
Keep in mind too that these guys sell where we don't, right? And we sell where they don't right now.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to capture tens of thousands of new customer logos this year, right? And we obviously want to have an integrated solution, so they choose HPE infrastructure.
Double click on that. What are the swim lanes?
Well, so the announcement that we put out today was we're now part of the HPE Complete program, which essentially means that HPE can now resell Veeam Software to any of their customers or their partners. So it's essentially a reseller agreement, and it means that HPE sales can go out and offer a complete integrated bundle that includes Veeam as part of that availability platform.
But
what's different though?
You were saying before there's not a lot of channel conflict.
There's not a lot of what?
Channel conflict. You're saying you're selling different places.
Absolutely.
What are those places? How would you characterize where you typically sell and what the upside is for you with this announcement?
Yeah, so I
think
think historically from an HPE perspective, right, you're seeing us in the fat part of the mid-market, especially enterprise and certainly large enterprise, right? I know that the Veeam folks have been super successful in capturing hundreds of thousands of SMB customers, the customers that are likely to grow very quickly, individually as well as a pool of customers, right? So your model from a marketing and freemium and that conversion is very different from the way we go to market. So I think having those two engines working together is our
yeah. Like I said, we have over 200,000 customers, but they're not the Fortune 200,000. And that's a good thing.
You're both gaining access to new markets from this deal.
But the why of that is it's a channel issue, not a technology issue, correct?
It's not even a channel issue. We've been working in the channel for several years.
Well, I'm saying you don't have the channel to that Fortune 100.
Oh, well, yeah, the sales force and those types of things,
It's not a direct, you're not a direct sales organization, but it's not the technology though, correct? Or
no, it's not the technology.
Scale, performance, feature set, robustness, that's all there.
Yes.
We're not really digging into what all there means, but I'll take your word for it for now.
Yeah.
But
every release, we see more and more enterprise customers joining on, and we get more scalable, better performance. We're protecting customers with tens of thousands of VMs and hosts. And so
Yeah, you don't hear
issue.
Veeam as a toy.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, it's not like, some examples of 1.0 products that don't have it. So
Who are you displacing? You must be displacing someone in those big customers.
Typically we're displacing whoever the incumbent is or was, whether that's Veritas, sometimes it's Commvault, sometimes it's EMC, sometimes it's IBM or whatever they are now.
Sometimes it's HPE.
Sometimes it's HPE, but it's typically as they're modernizing the data center and retooling how they do things, they're looking at what's the best way to do this specific task, and they realize that maybe the tool that they currently have may not be the best, and they go look for best of breed.
For customers who are moving from an all-disk environment, investing heavily in flash, how does that change their DR and their resiliency strategy?
From a flash perspective, it doesn't really change much from our perspective. I mean, things are obviously faster in terms of being able to offload the data, whether they're doing a backup or a replica. And in the case of the snapshot integration, being able to snap that over and replicate that across platforms, it just makes things, from our standpoint, it's faster. So.
Well, I mean, virtualization was a huge tailwind for Veeam. I mean, that really was what put you guys on the map. I mean, it seems like all flash, let's think about this for a second. I guess synchronous replication at a modest distance starts to make less sense. Makes sense on site, but then put it across the Hudson River, what's the point of that?
I think the techniques, the expectations and the techniques are changing, right?
Yeah.
When Doug talked about modernizing the data center and modernizing some specific processes, what I'm seeing is that there's no more backup window, right? So you've got this huge fan-in of applications on specific infrastructure. So at the end of the day, nobody's processing for 8 hours and then backing up for 8 hours, right? That just doesn't exist anymore. So as much as you can unload onto the infrastructure, so I can take coarse from a data set perspective, but very granular from a time perspective. I can do that over and over and over, right? And then I can do things like selective restore, right? Through RMC or through Veeam Explorer. Yeah. And what we're seeing is customers, their expectation is that they are checkpointing and backing up and replicating all day long, every day.
Yeah, so I'm making a copy on site.
Yep.
I'm getting it off site as fast as I can, maybe to a store once or some other purpose-built backup appliance, and I'm trying to minimize my RPO as best I can.
Yep. Exactly.
And get as close to zero RPO as possible, which is impossible.
And what you're seeing now is that granular level now is at the VM, right? Or at a much larger data set, even at a VM data store, as opposed to in the past it was, I'm going to back up and I'm going to go and index a bunch of file systems, and people aren't really doing that anymore.
Does containerization change the game at all?
I think now that you start, so we have a strategy around containers from a storage perspective. What we're starting to see more customers ask for persistent storage options for containers, right? Oh. So what we see now is that storage from a container perspective is ephemeral, right? But people that want to have persistent storage options, it'll be either in a software-defined nature, or we have a bunch of things like plugins with Docker and Flocker and things we do with Store Virtual and 3PAR. I think that from a data protection standpoint, it even creates more of a fan-in and fan-out, in terms of the number of items that you have to be responsible for. So, and I know you guys have some plans on the container side, so I don't know if you guys want to address that.
Well, I mean, it depends. Obviously, depends, like you said, how the customer is planning on using containers. But typically, where we want to be is we want to provide the availability for the data behind them. So that's kind of our strategy is maybe not look at containerization support individually, but definitely have that support for the infrastructure behind the containers, and have all the data that they're accessing and utilizing.
Yeah, because your point is most containers you're going to throw away anyway, right? So if you got 10,000, 9,999 don't need backup, but the infrastructure supporting that obviously does for whatever it is you want to persist. You're kind of container agnostic is what you're saying there. Right.
Yep. Okay. And a lot of people are running containers in VMs right now. Yeah. Right? Because you're in a test dev, kick the tires type of mode, so it fits into the model that we have going on right now.
I mean, they're pretty much everywhere now with Linux.
Yep.
Right? Embedded. So, okay, what's next for you guys? Where are you?
Well, so for us, we're trying to get everyone on all flash as fast as possible. And the way we're doing that is, we just announced a program called Flash Now.
You're bombing prices.
We are not bombing prices. We are passing on the value to our customers. Okay. So we announced Flash Now, so you can get an all flash system for 3 cents a gig, right, per month, and then you can actually get integrated data protection into that for additional penny, right? So we're providing the technology, the capabilities from Flash. You see, we actually have a tech preview for 3D Crosspoint, so NVMe in 3PAR. We got it running on the show floor today, so you're starting to see new media being introduced, for storage class memory. So all that we're providing to customers in a consumption model. So maybe the public cloud is good for you for some workloads. Maybe it's not, but you really like that consumption model, we can provide that to you for your storage.
Antonio Neri said you've got 100 customers who are in preview mode on that service right now. Well, what kind of volumes are they working with?
In terms of capacity?
In terms of the amount of capacity they're buying from you on this pay-as-you-go basis.
So it's all across the board. We're shipping 8 and 16 terabyte flash drives now. So if you're configuring 32, 64 drives, you're talking hundreds of terabytes on an individual frame. The system scale up to petabytes, so we can provide that type of scalability.
Just to clarify, Patrick, what you said, it's 4 cents a gigabyte per month for all flash and a fully backed up volume.
Completely integrated.
And that's a Veeam integration? Or?
No, they can provide, I'm not going to talk pricing.
So we're not talking capacity on demand for Veeam yet.
This is physical infrastructure, so flash for your primary storage, store once for your secondary storage.
And Veeam license on top of that.
Yep.
Got it.
And you get it all through HPE now.
Awesome. All right, well listen, congratulations on the partnership and the growth of Veeam, and love it. We'll see you guys tonight, I hope.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for
having
coming
us on theCUBE again.
You're welcome. All right, keep right there, everybody. We'll be back. This is theCUBE, we're live from the docks of London. Right back.